We got an 81 DeLorean sitting behind this. This is a rec panel off a similar model. Raw stainless. Factory says it's an 80 grit brush that's left in it. And we got some clips of you guys showing you how we're gonna get it out. So now we're gonna do a bigger panel and kind of walk you through it. I got the 220 with the holes, the Savage ceramic disc by Renegade, and their grease stick. I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna be running about 3,000 RPMs, and I'm not gonna hit this dry at all. I'm always gonna load up my grease from the middle to the outside. And as I go up to 800 and finish, I'm gonna use a little bit less grease each time. It'll leave this thing almost a perfect mirror before we ever get to polish it. Remember, always don't start your machine, go to the surface. You always wanna make sure this thing's all the way stopped and start it on the surface. So I'm gonna start it with the slow start, spread it out a little bit, and then I'll kind of work my way in with this. There's a couple little small areas, so I'll keep to attack those. So you've got, and I'm talking about the ding, like there's a ding here, a ding there. When I say that, that means there's a grain mark still showing underneath. So there's still one of those 80 grit factory brush lines still underneath there. Everywhere around it's already completely gone. So I don't want to necessarily isolate that deal. I want to put my interface pad on, keep it flat, and just work it till it's gone. So like we talked yesterday, that'd be a good time to take the Sharpie, fill in that little scratch a little bit, then you sand till all the Sharpie ink is gone. This here, I know I just got to do a little bit more, so we'll just keep rocking. Same way. Even if you see there's still grease on the surface, don't go back here and use the grease from the surface. You still need to lubricate your pad every single time. So I've already got a reflection from the 220 with the grease here. So you see that reflection, you know you're well on your way to having a perfect mirror. Now that we've got the grain chopped all the way down, now we got to work out our 220 scratches. So we're not going to skip any grits. We're going to go straight to 320 with the grease. Once we started grease, we're not going to go away. And on this particular stainless job with that heavy grit, I don't want to do dry at all. So just keep that in mind as a rule of thumb. Rotary, do not skip grits, and grease will be your best friend. So there goes your 320. Slow it down. Spread out your grease. So that's your 320. It's all good there. I'm gonna grab one more. I'm gonna grab 400. Grab 400, same thing, interface pad, same speed, and you gotta use your grease stick. God damn it. Fucking whore. So now we got 400 grit. We're in the middle. A little bit lighter pressure as I go up in grit. I don't want to overload it. You'll see, and you can't really get away from it because there's not like a right level to put on there. Just want to make sure you cover the whole thing. And you just might have to wipe it off a little bit and then rework it, but. All right, same time, same channel. 600 grit, back on the interface pad. Maverick grease, inside out, a little bit of pressure. Slow it down. And work it in. For anybody that's scared to do stainless, follow this video right here.
Right there, you got it perfect.
It'll change your whole game. So we got 800 grit, no holes, grease stick, same way. A little bit lighter pressure, but covering the whole thing. Put that there. Now, most of the time when you go to 800, no matter how much grease you put on there, because it's such a tighter grain, it's gonna cake up a little bit. So when we put it down here, we might have a little bit on there, no problem. You just keep working a little bit, or if it's too much to work, just take a dry rag and wipe it off. But I hit it. This is what it looks like right here.
So that's all your grease on there?
That's too much grease.
Too much.
You know what I mean? I got enough on here to do the job. So I'll grab a,
Get some of it off there?
yeah, because you can keep working and keep working and keep working, but basically it's like slip and slide. You're not letting the 800 underneath it do its job. So I'll come here. It's really wet, so really just a dry rag or some dissolver real quick. Then come right back to it. Oh yeah. Especially that you're seeing from that angle right there, you got it perfect. The reason why I got the yellow in my hand instead of like the traditional 320 grit emery or the black magic bar is because once I've sanded it this much and got that much clarity out of it, it's gonna take me very little to polish it. So the yellow packs a lot more clarity. It still has the high melting point, so you get the job done as far as cutting out the sand marks, but it packs a lot of clarity, giving me a big head start. Where the 320 grit emery or the black magic still leaves it kind of hazy and it's gonna give you an additional snap to go to. So for me, I like to grab the yellow. It spreads real easy. You can dab one time on there and cut this whole entire area, and you got that pop already from the beginning. Remember, stainless is all gonna be more exaggerated. Higher speeds, higher temps, more aggressive sanding and everything. So not a really wrong or right way to cut this right now because it's sanded so good, but with me, I like a push and a pull, a push and a pull. So I'm not jumping left to right, up to down, up and down. I'm basically cutting my strokes maybe in a quarter and making sure the heat is built up. The stainless is going to retain more of the heat versus the aluminum being porous, and it spreads. So the heat will be concentrated more in that one area, giving you a lot easier way to cut out the sand marks. So I'll load this up, cut this out, and I want to make sure that at the end, you can cut it upside down, inside out, diagonal, however you want to. At the end of your first step, you always want to run it together like you hear me say. Now this particular door is going to be like this. So we sand and polish this whole entire door. It's going to need to be finished. And I'm talking about our grain lines, not cutting like this or finishing like this. We have to go with the grain up here. This entire panel over here on the left will be finished here. That would be finished straight up and down. This here would have to be finished all going forward. That way it all flows together. Very minimal effort. All right, now we got this cut down. No need to clean between these steps because I'm gonna use the same yellow compound. I'm gonna turn it down to 2800 to 3000, rake, a little bit of compound, and just fine, make sure my lines are straight, nice and soft, really just gentle massage, getting this perfect. I am going to switch compounds as I go to this. I'm going to use the new mirror buff, double stacked on the new flanges at about 18 to 2200 RPMs, probably more close to 22. But I am going to use a different color, so I'm going to make sure I get all the yellow compound and any grease that's left on. My favorite dissolver. Spray a little bit on here. A little bit on the surface. Yeah. And what looked like it may not be that much turns the whole entire thing. It's thick right here, really thick, especially from the grease left over in the gaps. So this, I'm gonna use the new mirror buffs here. Maybe a tighter, less hashier finish with these. I'm gonna use 2 of them since they are a little bit thin. And I got our new double stacked aluminum flanges here. With these, you do wanna make sure that you're putting them on the right way and then the other one goes the right way. That way you don't have one crisscrossing there. So I'll put those on top. You got a deep threaded insertable flange right there. Nice and hand tight. I am running about 2,000 RPMs right there. And I'm gonna rake it, but I'm not gonna rake it very heavy. Using either a pumice stone or a rake that's not. The whole idea behind this is very, very soft wheel, whether it be flannel or that. So notice you guys that have raked your flannel, see how it's real stringy and you can even rip it. So I use a rake that's almost worn down, where it's a lot smoother when the teeth are worn down, or even a pumice stone. This is a bigger piece of pumice stone where you can see it's got some pretty heavy grain. It's gonna be kind of doing similar to what the eraser was doing on the sandpaper disc right there. So we'll grab our piece of drywall, pumice.
Right. Hey, so would you use that also on a UBM, or is that?
I'm still raking UBM. It's still pretty strong. You get into the flannels or those silker like rayons or the really just the flannel materials. Like yeah, and it does flannels. They do such damage. You take a brand new wheel, and no matter what you do, it just keeps leaving strings and everything. Every time you go back and rake, you're just picking shit out. Right. So this one here is a little different, but you can take it and it makes it to where you don't have any stragglers at all. There's no coming back, and then there's all your compound right there. So obviously we won't give it to you in brick form. It'll probably be a bar or something more easily to hold. That's something that you get from them old school polishers. We got a new mirror buff with all the money compound right here. You gotta take it in, put a little bit on there. Just do the same exact thing.